All right, sorry about that. I'm gonna go ahead and share this, share the new link. Let's see if it's the same one. I hope not. Oh shit, I'm gonna need a new link. All right. Um, One moment. Let me just go ahead and share this link, and then we'll get started. Sorry about that. I had to switch Wi-Fi. All right. Let me share this in a couple of other chats, and then we'll get started. I was hoping that the link that YouTube gave me was going to be the same, but it wasn't. All right, looks like we got a couple people in here. Let me just finish sending out the links. Shit, I gotta resend it on Twitter. Sorry about this, y'all. We'll get this situated. As fun as it is to watch the first 5 minutes of a stream be getting set up, but that is the world we live in. Let me get this link. Looks like we got a couple new viewers, so the new link must be circulating. Let's copy that. Let's see. Okay, looks like we've got a couple more people on. What's up, Parlay from far away? How's it going? Let me just send this link out, and then we'll get started. Discussing what happens when all ERC20s appear on the new PulseChain. All right, what's up, everyone? Hey, you know what it is. So yeah, welcome back. We're just going to be following up on a topic that we've been following for a while, which has been the new upcoming fork of Ethereum that Richard Hart is creating. This has come up because a recent update to the Ethereum ecosystem increased the cost of ending stakes and other contracts that run on Ethereum. It increased the cost of using certain smart contracts, and so a lot of use cases are actually getting priced out on Ethereum. And so one solution to this are like launching like new parallel chains that can operate and take some of the load off of Ethereum, and so as part of a solution to the issue of hex stakes, small hex stakes getting priced out from this upgrade. There have been a lot of talks of this new PulseChain, and just recently in the Telegram chats, you're starting to see a lot more information and kind of more like clarified ideas around what what it's going to be like, what it means, and so kind of to sort through all that. I'm starting to just maintain this document. It's included in the link. This generally has like the explanation of what's going on. So definitely start to understand this. And the important thing, and this is what we're going to talk about today, is what's unique about the PulseChain fork is that like this won't be the first fork of Ethereum, and it certainly won't be the last. These happen regularly. They're either for like sometimes it's like a layer 2 solution like Matic that is it's a fork of Ethereum, but it's used as a layer 2, and so there's situations like that where there's bridges between a fork and Ethereum, and that works pretty well. You see it in Matic, you see it in Binance Smart Chain, which is effectively ETH2 already in the wild, and so we may have to do a whole other video on Binance Smart Chain, but starting to experiment in that ecosystem is actually a good thing that you can do to get ready for like a Pulse launch, because through that you'll learn how to add the setting to your MetaMask so that it can look to this other blockchain, and you'll kind of see, because that's really what Binance Smart Chain is. Like BNB is to Binance Smart Chain as ETH is to Ethereum, and so Binance that's what, like, being like a proof of stake fork of Ethereum. That's pretty much what PulseChain is going to be. So something that we can kind of look at to to gauge how what the user experience is possibly going to be like for Pulse. That may be a smart thing to look at, and so and also because it's an example where there's like a lot of like crazed hype hysteria in some of those markets. So it's definitely the Wild West. But that what it shows is that there can be active markets that exist outside of Ethereum. So long as the network is designed and the money's right to where there's investment opportunities on these other networks, and if there's investment opportunities on PulseChain, then that can solve a lot of the challenges of like just bringing people over. But seeing Binance Smart Chain do it in the real world, I think that's really promising for kind of what we'll probably see over the next couple of years is. Like we've seen kind of like a consolidation where like Bitcoin is kind of like the major like fixed supply money, for like that type of monetary policy and that type of use case. Like Bitcoin, among the others, has kind of solidified itself there. Ethereum has solidified itself as like the contract, like the smart contract platform and the financial blockchain. Like you're seeing all this DeFi activity happening on Ethereum and not Bitcoin, and that's for a reason. And so, Ethereum's kind of, been the leader in this category, and then there can be like Hex, I think, is like the leader in like the long-term savings category, which kind of competes with Bitcoin, but kind of competes with other coins as well, in that use case. So like there's been like a kind of a consolidation of like major platform or major network being like for each use case, but now that like they're starting to reach like capacity limits, and like the whole crypto space really is breaking out of obscurity. Like this is a mainstream thing now. Like this is not like a niche thing anymore. And so just like that you're starting to run into the capacity constraints on some of these networks. And so like with that being a problem, like with the problem of having high fees on the network, whenever there's a problem, that's opportunity for an entrepreneur to deliver a solution. And what that looks like in this world is, new layers, new chains, and, taking things that have been like battle tested in the real world, forking that, applying new, ideas, pursuing a specific, use case. And then, through that, there's, like that's like a really effective way to, make like big, improvements. And, and then, with all these things, there's a lot of risk. Whenever there's uncertainty, there's a lot of risk. But, kind of within that uncertainty, that's where like the big opportunities, are going to be, like ones where, price discovery may take it, orders of magnitude change over, the course of a couple months. And so anytime there's like there's new ecosystem forming, like there's always people that come out of that, with, life-changing performance, and, like just based on, the amount of interest there is in PulseChain, and, and just, all of the successful things that have, happened. Like this isn't the first ETH fork. And so like, Pulse is in a position where it can learn from the things that, with other ETH forks that have happened. It can kind of learn from that. It doesn't have to reinvent the wheel on some of these things. So a lot more can get done a lot quicker. And, like PulseChain as a brand and as, like that is, it's way ahead of where any other network, kind of at like a similar state was, like Matic, for instance. Like, was there like a rabid Matic community that was like literally like going crazy over this thing? And, before Matic existed as like a layer 2 solution, like not really, but that's been a massively successful product. But now, we're going into a new chain, and there's already like vast like brand recognition, people that are in line with like the Hex community, and so they're supporting of this effort. And so I think that PulseChain is actually going to have a big leg up, as far as like marketing and awareness, because there's a lot of people that have made a lot of money with Hex, and a lot of people that have watched from the sidelines, a Richard Hart product, taking people to the moon. And so, I think, as far as people pattern matching, I think there's going to be a lot of interest in PulseChain. And so, we'll just, keep monitoring how the development goes. Like this is definitely like, this isn't like a quick, like overnight, like thing. Like, this is a big initiative. But kind of, as time goes on, and the details seem to be a little bit more, clear. We'll definitely be back discussing them. And so, as we transition, like this is really like a really interesting situation, because like forks happen all the time, but in this case, all the ERC20 tokens are getting forked over, meaning, there's going to be some snapshot date where the entire ERC20 system state is, captured, and then those corresponding wallets on the Pulse chain, that you can go into by changing a setting on your MetaMask. You'll be able to access those coins. So you'll have a copy of the coins on PulseChain, and you'll have the original coins completely unchanged on Ethereum. And so, we're going to be talking a lot about just really what that means. And what this kind of reminds me of is, or just one like it's always good to look at like back into history to see what similar things have happened, because then the markets kind of learn from that. And so one hilarious thing that I love to think about is the Bitcoin Cash fork. This was I think before a lot of people were in crypto, and this was part of like the whole like block war thing, which is like an old political debate that used to happen in Bitcoin years ago that no one talks about anymore. So why don't we watch this? And this is actually like a really, it's pretty funny, but it's actually like a really important, kind of lesson in in these, and that's kind of what we're going to be talking about with, what happens when suddenly everyone who has something now has another thing. And so let's just go ahead and play this just for laughs.
Por favor, ¿me podrías decir cuántos días has trabajado en toda la...
Risita, coge las 20 paelleras, las amarra y las entierra en el agua. Y acuérdate, a donde las echas, que mañana tienes que ir a por ellas. Y cuando salgo en el lado de la noche había bajado la marea. La dejé amarrar, tal como me lo dijo, las tiré, le puse un palo, dice, llego a la cocina, eran las 2:30 de la noche. Risita, ¿qué la has hecho? Allí está, jefe. Ya, pues acuéstate que mañana a las 8 te llamo a que vaya a recoger las paelleras. Y me acuesto en ya para abrir el restaurante que era el arroz. Y me llama el cocinero. Risita, ¿qué? Ve por la paellera. Venga, que las 2 de la tarde ya están aquí. Miren, bañador. En las chanclas. Todo despeinado porque no me dio tiempo nada ponerme las chanclas y el bañador. Voy a la playa, había subido la marea. Tú, había subido la marea y encontré una paella. Y la encontré porque estaba la paellera agarrada metida entre las piedras de Chipiona, de Faro. Y cuando entro en el restaurante me ve el cocinero con una paellera y adentro la 20 paelleras. ¡Asómate, mira dónde llega el agua! Llegaba el agua hasta el restaurante. Había subido la marea. Jesús, hay que hacer ahora con los 2 sacos de arroz. ¡Ay, llama para Sevilla! ¡Llama a Sevilla que traigo paella! Tú y yo con el bañador y con la paella. El cocinero, no veas, a Sevilla. Y al último, que cuando ya salió la bien de regla, estamos llorando los dos. Me cobró el tío la paella. Me cobró a 500 metros. Y ya no fui más. Me fui andando a coger los amarillos hasta hoy.
All right, so if you want to watch the full video, that's on my channel. But pretty much what I love about this is that it actually paints a really important picture of the risks of coordinated efforts to try to prop the price of anything, or like just the risks involved in like choosing one coin versus the other. In this one, that they're kind of laughing at the story of how the people behind the Bitcoin Cash fork were just got just completely wrecked trying to flip in Bitcoin, where they were buying the domain, and they were trying to pump the price, and they were they were going to move the hash power over, and but those people ended up getting wrecked. And so with like any time there's like a new like a new kind of like redenomination, that's what these like one-to-one airdrops are. They're like a redenomination, where suddenly you have your ERC20 on Ethereum, and then now you have the PRC20 on Pulse, and everyone got it equally. Like it's even though suddenly everyone has like more units, since the issuance of the new units applied equally to everybody, then it's like as if it didn't go to anybody. Like there's actually like it's actually not inflationary. Like even though the total, like if you consider that all like part of the total supply, even though like the unit suddenly doubled, But since it went to everyone equally, it's just like as if, the units, are, it just, it's like as if it didn't happen to anybody. And so what then happens is that those are completely independent things. And then, when you give crypto people coins, they're going to want to trade and they're going to want to speculate. And so from there, price discovery starts to take place, and that's how the price gets set. And so, like, overall, like, is this inflationary? It's not inflationary because it applies to everyone equally. So everyone experiences more coins, but their balance grew by whatever percent, and then the whole supply, or so in this case, their balance between the old coin and the new coin, it doubles, but everyone else doubled, so it's like as if no one doubled. So it's not inflationary, and so that's an interesting thing to kind of wrap your head around, is that like it's literally like in airdrop situations, and specifically like with these ones where it's like a one-to-one airdrop applied to everyone who holds a certain coin. In this case, it's all coins, which is going to be crazy. Everyone gets it. So it's like the money was just printed out of thin air, but like the market takes hold of it, and like the forking blockchains means that like you're forking years of work and development and experimentation, and so like forks are typically like that's like where you start. And so, as far as like having like existential risk, some of that existential risk is alleviated because you're starting from the fork. And so a lot of just like the general existential risk has already been solved by the thing that you're forking. And so, like the markets can definitely like take root really quickly. And that's going to be, like the multi-trillion-dollar question if this really takes off, and if they're, it's like, what do you do with your, like say you suddenly have, new coins, to match all your current coins on a new chain, and you're the first person in there. What do you do? Like, and so like, I think what we're going to see is some coins, just like for, based on their, like their monetary policy, or just like, maybe how they're used in smart contracts, or just, maybe, for whatever reason, like there's probably going to be ones of these that there's just not demand for them on the PulseChain. So these may be coins that have, that, maybe interact with other chains, or maybe they're coins that, don't have like the real world infrastructure to support them. So like I think that like the stable coin units, those will probably not have many buyers, because those part of what keeps the peg. And we'll talk about the different type, but so if this is for the pegged stablecoin units. So that's USDC and Tether. So that doesn't include like things like Ample, which that'll be a whole other, like, we'll have to do a whole episode on Pulse Ample, because that's going to be fucking crazy. I might have to buy some Ample for the the snapshot, and those ones will, I'm not exactly sure how that'll play out, but like, anything that's pegged to like a real world thing, I think that, and so including like wrapped BTC, those ones like will probably not have a lot of buyers. And so those will probably like perma-dump, because they just don't make sense. I think the way that Richard described it in his video is that like, if they're based on, if like they're issued based on, custodying of some other thing, that like that coin is like encumbered by the one on Ethereum, and so the one on this chain will be, they're like they'll exist, but then like whoever's issuing these stable coins can like burn them pretty much, and so I don't think that these ones will will have a price, or I don't think that like people will like rush into this to buy up all the WBTC, because like, if these things, like any coin that has like some type of like admin key or some type of like freezing they can do, if they can freeze it on Ethereum, they can freeze it on Pulse. And so I think there's like, risk in these where where the people who operate these coins, may just, be able to shut it off. And that's like, how these work. Like, if you're relying on, on BitGo to do the custody for wrapped BTC, they're, and they pretty much control the issuance of it. It doesn't play in with what they're doing. And so those ones will probably perma-dump. Also maybe ones that, I think coins that are like not impacted by high gas, I think those ones will probably perma-dump, because like, why do they care about a different like fee burning coin? To them, it's just like free money. And so people that get, because this is applying to everybody, like the Hexagon, like how many, let's look at Etherscan and let's look up how many, let's look up Hex. So there's 200,000 hex addresses. So who knows how many people that is? Maybe that's only like 100,000 people. And I don't know if that counts stakers. But compare that to, let's just see how many like Ethereum holders there are. How do we find number of Ethereum holders? So how many hexagons are there? Like 500,000? No, 100,000, 200,000? And let's see. Number of okay, so unique. Okay, so there's 150 million Ethereum addresses. So who knows how many have ERC20s? So maybe like, let's just say 100 million, just for like ease of use. There's probably gonna be like 100 million addresses that get something on Pulse. And like, if the Hexagon ecosystem is only like 200,000 of that, so like, what is that? 200,000 divided by 100 million. That's like 0.2% of the like total people that are going to be like Hex fans, and so and people like plugged into it from beforehand. So I think a lot of coins that were like, they're generally not impacted by it. So, coins that aren't part of smart contracts, pretty much. So, I'm not going to, just think about what those might be. Those ones will probably like where they don't really benefit from, being on a new chain that's, maybe separate from their markets, or separate from like their onboarding, source. I think a lot of like just kind of regular coins, those will probably dump from everyone who gets them on PLS. Like if there even is a bridge, they'll probably try to get over there. So coins that are not impacted by high gas fees, coins with major whales that are Hex haters or Richard Hart haters, they will probably dump the PRC20 for ERC20 if bridge is available. But there's also another, like here's like the hidden pump mental with that. So that's if they deliberately do that. Some of these people just may not even want anything to do with it and just won't even like touch it, and maybe won't even like claim that wallet. Maybe they just don't even want to do it. So, like the benefit of big holders of these coins is that, maybe massive whales in ERC20 land don't even think about the PRC20, and the price can run because the whales aren't selling their PRC20 coins. Like maybe what people will set up are like bots that monitor big addresses to see if they start moving some on the PRC network, on the Pulse network, because then maybe that means that you need to get out of that coin or whatever. So maybe people are going to be doing analysis like that. But those people could potentially so I'll actually add that to the perma-pump section. So perma-pump, let's just do some formatting here and we'll publish this. So perma-dump, probably going to be the stable coins. And then so I think those ones will probably perma-dump. The perma-pump, this is probably going to be coins like, coins that are impacted by staking, or so coins impacted by high gas fees. So maybe like some of the, like some of the like lending, like maybe assets used in like lending protocols may move over. Maybe it'll be advantageous for them to have, their value, in another, like on a layer 2. So maybe coins, so coins that are part of ecosystems, impacted by high gas. So that's like any coin used in lending, any coin used in, like the derivative contracts, other types of like trading, maybe some of these types of coins are going to move over. Also, coins that have serious whales that want PulseChain to succeed. So this means that like coins like Hex, where a lot of the major Hex holders really want Pulse to succeed, and the major Hex holders, maybe like as their ERC20 Hex stakes come undone, they're going to be aping into Pulse and into their Hex Pulse, where like they're and then having people dump their their ERC20 Hex, rather than dumping their new Pulse Hex, they're going to just be accumulating the Pulse Hex and dumping their ERC20 Hex. So like that but there's also kind of on the other hand, maybe people with massive bags, maybe they find safety and security in the high fees, because like high fees, that's like kind of, it's like it hurts the user experience, but it shows that like the network is secure. So maybe if you only have a couple tens of thousands of crypto, you don't necessarily care about the security of the network that much. But if you have $10 million of crypto, maybe you care a little bit more. And so it all just comes down to what the big players, how they assess the risk of the of that product existing on a new chain. And so that'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. But I think that why Hex could actually be in Hex could end up in the perma-pump category on the PulseChain is because there's probably some mega fucking giga chad whales on Hex that really want to see PulseChain succeed, and the moving first is like a big way to maximize that ROI. So that's really who to watch. So maybe what people need to see is what happens with the coins on that big audit list. Like maybe we need to set up some type of like monitor that checks for those transactions entering the mempool, and just to try to front run the whales, which may be tough. So that's what we might have to get more serious about as the time comes. But I could definitely see, just the more I listen to streams, I could definitely see serious stakeholders in Hex just want the Pulse to succeed, meaning have valuable projects on it, and hosting valuable economies. And so I could definitely see the Pulse Hex exchange rate, potentially even flipping the ERC20 Hex, and so that's a serious reality that could happen. Not saying that will happen. I wouldn't, probably the prudent thing, obviously everyone has to choose for themselves. Probably a lot of people are just going to hold both and just like benefit from both going up in value, but, and not be forced to choose because, there's serious risk in choosing wrong. Like just look, like I shared that chart the other day, of what can we learn from, let's see. I shared this chart the other day about like there were people that chose poorly on ETH Classic versus ETH, and there were people that chose poorly with their Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin, and so if you choose wrong, there's serious risk. So some people are probably just going to hold it out and just like bake that into it, where like where they're not really trying to maximize their performance through this. But for the people that do choose to take that risk, there's probably going to be massive, opportunities in there, between the Hex ones and other coins, where the, like Hex, obviously is one that a lot of people that watch this are, subscribed to, but, other coins are going to have the same thing too. And so, like there, even if you don't want to risk your Hex in this situation, maybe what you want to do is you want to, just maybe have some other coins that you can then like take some of these risks, where maybe you buy some, Unisocks, and then when, and maybe you think that like, people are going to, want to buy up the ERC20 Unisocks, and maybe you can but maybe some people are still going to be wanting to buy the Pulse one. Maybe you can like dump all your Pulse Unisocks for the ERC20 Unisocks and try to like get more that way. So maybe with other coins that you're maybe not as committed to, or like that you wouldn't want to risk potentially choosing wrong on, there's going to be crazy. There's going to be true craziness when this happens. Like that's the truth, is that the only thing that we can predict is that all hell is probably going to break loose. Like realistically, like shit's going to go crazy, and there's probably going to be some big opportunities in there. And so only risk what you're willing to lose. Just as always, like, and that goes without saying. But over time, there's going to be amazing price discovery between the two. And so, a big component to these are going to be the bridges. So like if we just pull up like the Matic bridge, for instance, like, maybe this is something that, like we're going to see similar with, with the fork. Here, I'm actually going to open it in the one that I set up for this. So let's go to the Matic. So let's just check out like the Matic bridge, and maybe we'll get an idea of how that'll work. Because when you suddenly have the ERC20 and the PRC20, they operate on different blockchains. So you can't just like use Uniswap to do it. And so there's going to be other, like the way that price will be set is going to be between bridges. So this may be like a bridge between Ethereum and Pulse, which is kind of like what, kind of like what Matic is. And so let's see. So where like you just like send over. So here I'm just gonna do like 0.01 Ether, and we're just gonna see kind of what that's like. Okay, looks like we got it. Oh wait. So we don't want that much. Let's just do 0.01. Let's transfer. Moving funds from Ethereum to Matic. So, maybe you're moving funds from Ethereum to Pulse. Let's just see what this looks like. So probably going to cost $10 of gas. Okay. What? Okay, so whatever that means, we'll come back to that. Let's speed that up. We don't want to wait. Okay, so while we wait for that, like this, maybe it's smart to start exploring some of these different like layer twos, other chains, seeing how they bridge, because that's like what we're gonna have to be prepared for. And when this is like very new, that's the thing, is that like there's probably not going to be like very good tools. So it is like, I think early on, maybe only sophisticated users are going to be able to actually execute swaps between these. Like, it's still unclear how these bridges are going to work. But that's definitely what I would recommend, is just getting to learn some of these, so you can just get some of the practice, so that when it's go time, you're ready to make it happen. And so, maybe check out the Matic bridge, to kind of get some ideas. And so I guess the one other thing that I just definitely wanted to cover was that, like, some coins are probably going to perma-pump, some coins are going to perma-dump, but what's unique about Hex is that, like, not all the coins are like going to be hitting the market. We have the chart of future market supply. So all the current stakes, like, there's no ending those, and those coins can't be bridged to Pulse, or those can't be swapped, like traded, through like a cross-chain bridge, to dump your ERC20 hex for Pulse. Like, those are coming out over a long time period. And so, Hex may, like, it may just kind of be a seasonal thing, where we may see, like, kind of like a merging of the two, where they kind of become one and the same, where maybe the like smaller users and like the onboarding happens on the Pulse side, but then like there's always an active market to be trading into, by bridging, and maybe that's going to be the role of the OA, is to be the liquidity of the bridge between Hex on ERC20 and Pulse. Maybe that's like part of it, where if there's like a huge amount of liquidity in this bridge, then the price is going to remain really stable. So, one possible reality is that they kind of become one and the same, in similar fashion to how USDC, they have USDC that runs on TRX, they have USDC that runs on ERC20, they have USDC that runs on, I think that's it. That may be the only two ones. Same with Tether, those kind of run on different chains, and they're semi-transferable. So if there's like a lot of liquidity in the in that bridge between ETH for Hex and Pulse for Hex, it could just kind of be like an extension, and it literally could just it could just kind of be just continuing to move in tandem, and maybe there's some seasonality based on maybe there's people with a bunch of big stakes ending, and just those individuals just happen to prefer the Pulse one over the Ethereum one, and so they dump all of their Pulse Hex for Hex, or they dump all of their ERC20 Hex for PRC20 Hex, but then as soon as they run out of the Hex to sell, or the ERC20 Hex to sell for the PRC20 Hex, then maybe the price will kind of stabilize, and then maybe later that month, another mega whale who prefers ERC20 Hex, maybe they dump all of their PRC20 Hex for the ERC20 Hex. So every person that's choosing one for the other, maybe they're met with someone with just a different opinion or the different risk assessment, and then those will kind of balance out. And so if there's massive liquidity between the two, then that prevents the price from moving very aggressively. And so that's one way that I could see Hex really growing from this, is for the two versions to kind of unite into one, where it's treated kind of how Big Payday was, where it's a massive redenomination, where you suddenly have all of your ERC20 Hex, and then you have that same number of PRC20 Hex, but in total what you have is in equal, you still have the same percent of the total ERC20 plus PRC20 Hex as you did percent of the ERC20. So your percent standing, so your the leagues in Staker app can remain the same. And so if there's a lot of liquidity on that bridge, there can be they can kind of operate in tandem, and maybe the maybe the PRC20 version of Hex is going to be primarily used for onboarding, and but then maybe the ERC20 Hex is going to be the one that gets massively financialized, or maybe over time, as PulseChain proves itself, the ERC20 Hex holders keep wanting to transition in that exchange rate flip-ins, and then maybe the ERC20 Hex just gets fully replaced with the PRC20 Hex, or it could happen the other way. There's truly no way to predict, and but I think that with Hex specifically, it's something that's going to be taking place over a long period of time, and so the impact, you won't need to choose so quickly, whereas other things, it may be a super time sensitive decision, kind of where the people that chose to dump Bitcoin Cash for BTC right at the start of 2018, those people did great, but the people that hung on too long, they didn't do so well. So it's still definitely a wait and see situation, but it's to prepare yourself for this, and just generally learning new things which are going to be useful. definitely learn how to operate with these bridges. Experiment with the Binance Smart Chain, and just kind of be ready for the opportunity, because there's going to be big opportunities here, and you want to be there for it. So let's see what anyone said in the chat. Subscribe. Thanks for the subscribe, Toblerus. Parlay from far away. They're laughing at the Receiptas. That is one of my that literally, when I saw the video, that was when I really got into crypto. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And that's literally, here we are today. And there's a lot of like serious historical lessons in that, which are really interesting to think about. Hey, what's up, David Fetter? Sub-hexagons, yep. Maybe 50-50 is good though. Yeah, I mean, you really have nothing to lose. Like just doing a 50-50, like the only thing you lose, I guess, is opportunity cost. Because however it plays out, like you could have, optimized for that. But, if you just stay 50-50 and then, all the mega whales choose one over the other, like it's just, you benefit either way. So 50-50 is probably like a good strategy for most people. Hexatarian says ETH whale will possibly allow their free pulse be removed from wallets if inactive for 30 days. Does that pulse permanently disappear? So in this video, I wasn't really talking at all about the Pulse coin itself. From what I understand, there's a limited time redemption window where ETH holders will get like some amount of free Pulse. So I don't think that applies to the ERC20 coins. That I'm not sure of. Parlay from far away. That bridge will probably be the best thing ever then. A junction or overpass. Yeah, I mean that's really the make or break thing. It like and that could be an alternative to staking, because if the bridges work how I think they do, there's pretty much liquidity providers across them where you're holding like in some equivalent amount of one and the other, and that may be an alternative to you're not staking Hex in a time lock, but you're providing liquidity to the that bridge, and if it's if like that's something that like the economy can kind of come to agreement on, or if that's beneficial for the Hex Pulse and the Hex on Ethereum to kind of move in tandem and have really thick liquidity between the two, then maybe we see a lot of people monetizing their liquid Hex by doing this like liquidity provider thing for the bridge. And so what that would do is that would cause the APY for the stakes on both chains to go up, and it would help the two kind of work in tandem together, where you can kind of always go back and forth between the two, and maybe the exchange rate fluctuates seasonally, but if there's really thick liquidity, that's like what prevents the exchange rate from fluctuating too much. And so, we'll definitely be monitoring that, and that's probably, and then in that situation, just holding 50-50 is good, where you have your Hex wallets. I mean, but it's the same wallet, so like the same way that you would interact with like your stakes on ERC20 Hex. You just do, you change the MetaMask setting, and then like here, I'll just show you how easy it is to do that. So let's like when you want to change a setting on here, so Matic, MetaMask. So it's purely this simple. Like this is what it's probably going to be like to start with. To like when Pulse launches, it's probably going to be something like this. So you go to settings. You go to networks. We're going to add a network name, Matic, mainnet, new RPC URL, just paste that in, chain ID 137, Matic https explorer.matic.network explorer.matic, and then you just hit save. So now you have Matic, yep. So right there, you see that so the bridge in that time it transferred over. So now on this wallet you have you've got the Matic. So that's not Matic the coin, that's like, you know, whatever's held in this bridge. So let's see what we can do with it. So we're plugged into the Matic network. You just set the way you switch is you just make sure that the selection is Matic mainnet, yep. And so now we have this wallet Matic bridge. And so what can we do with this? Okay, so this is the one that we have. We have the Ether. So we have the Ether that's on the Matic network. So let's see what we can do here. Matic wallet. We got the bridge, we got the wallet. Let's see what this is. Okay, I don't really care to look at the staking thing right now, but yeah. So I mean, just, you know, that's how easy it is to do the bridging, so definitely just start kind of playing around with this stuff, let's see if anyone in the chat has any questions. Yeah, so no more questions in the chat, but yeah, I mean, you know, these bridges are going to be like pretty, you know, might be pretty crazy markets. Like it's still, you know, because like it's not really like a bridge in the sense where like because what you're doing on Matic, maybe Matic wasn't the best example. Maybe I should have done the Binance Smart Chain on this example, but like it's not like you're wrapping your ERC20 coins on there. It's like those are entirely separate. Like your coins on the ERC20 are completely independent of the coins on Pulse. And then the bridge is really just like a cross-chain swap that hopefully, since it's like, you know, a fork of Ethereum, that those can just work together. So those markets are going to be really vibrant. You know, the ones where like the people aren't just like plugged into the Hex ecosystem, maybe those will be kind of boring, but that Hex pair is going to be the one to watch. And, you know, there's kind of, here, let's write this down. There's kind of 3 ways it can happen. So one way would be for all whales to dump ERC20 hex for PRC20 hex. There's social consensus that PRC20 hex is the real hex. ERC20 hex continues to operate as it always did, you know, but there's, you know, not an active market because those market participants are in PulseChain. So that's one. Other situation is literally the opposite, where they all dump their PRC20 hex for ERC20 hex. Social consensus that ERC20 hex is still the real hex. PRC20 hex still operates, but there's just maybe not an active market. And the other one is that all whales provide liquidity to the cross-chain swap contract, which would, you know, keep a rough peg on the exchange. No, it's not. I'm not gonna say it's a rough peg, which would enable PRC20 hex and ERC20 hex to operate as one. And so in this case, there's maybe a market on both. There's vast liquidity between the PRC20 hex and the ERC20 hex pair, so the price stays within a small window. And then, maybe in that situation, the sum, the total is greater than the sum of its parts. And so, maybe in that situation, there's, we see a lot of growth, and you have your hex operating on both chains, and them both working just fine, because that's something that we've started to see the fees go down. Who knows how this actually continues to happen, but if all the trading went to a layer 2, then the fees aren't going to be an issue anymore. And so there may not be as many people priced out of the fees, and then they sorry, someone just sent a message and it ruined my train of thought. But sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. Someone asked a question. They said, why would whales end such massive far out stakes to switch? They wouldn't be ending their stakes, but as their stakes end, they would be choosing one or the other. He says, I think ERC20 hex is staking chain and PX a trading chain. Yeah, I mean that's true. That's what I was saying, is that some of these use cases moving off the chain, that entirely solves the problem. And so we may not even see so many people whose stakes are priced out of ending. That may have been a temporary thing. And so in that case, maybe there's less demand for the faster, cheaper one. Maybe it just isn't such an issue anymore. So that's one situation that could happen. And so we'll keep watching. It's all about what the big holders do. That's really what drives the price. But yeah, we'll be continuing to monitor. Let's see if anyone else has any more questions. If not, we'll probably check on out. How long have we been going for? All right. So I don't think anyone's asking any more questions. So yeah, thanks for joining. We'll keep diving into this topic. We'll keep the discussion going. So thank you for joining. Yeah, go ahead and like and subscribe if you haven't already. And maybe next week we'll get back to it and keep talking about this topic. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye. Oh wait, before I leave, parlay from faraway says, "What's your strategy, bro?" I'm not telling anyone. That's proprietary knowledge. So I'm not going to reveal that until it happens. So stay tuned.